This is a proposal for the U.S. Department of Energy. First, we will explore social implications of energy use. Social observations from data. Energy sources that produce more than 20% of the energy in the United States are listed below. Therefore, these sources provide the most jobs and opportunity to society. As far as jobs go, solar produces a lot. California gets almost 10% of its energy from solar, and Nevada gets more than 6%. Vermont and Arizona follow with 4% each. Natural gas. As far as jobs go, the fuel is the primary source for electricity generation in 19 states and provides at least 50% of the electricity in 9 states. Coal. As far as jobs go, coal was the chief source of electrical generation in 19 states and the second most common source in another 9. Coal is most popular in the east, south of New York. Nuclear power is very politically driven and has just come out of dormant state following decades of pause after an initial push in the 1970s and 80s driven by the first oil shock. Social analysis on data. Sources of energy that provide the most jobs and opportunity in the United States currently are solar, natural gas, coal, and nuclear. More jobs equal more familiar presence equals more education in society. The standard of living increases with more revenue and return of investments for families alongside education. This ties into the economic perspective. More equal opportunity will present itself alongside higher rates of education within a population. Social predictions. The use of solar energy will increase with greater technological advancements that can only occur with higher education and higher standards of living and more equal opportunity for purchase. The use of natural gas is already increasing. However, it can bring several health hazards with it, lowering the standard of living. The use of coal for energy is dropping, and the standard of living associated with mining is low. Social suggestions. Going forward, solar power should be most valued socially. It is the most beneficial source of energy for the people, carrying with it a massive amount of jobs and technological activity along with education, creating more equal opportunity. Solar power is already on the rise and the most popular renewable energy source. It has great potential and could help power the future with little health hazards and, more broadly, great positive social consequences. Environmental observations from data. Solar energy predominantly is used in the southwest where the sun shines the most. Wind energy is mostly used in the Great Plains. Nuclear energy is mostly used in both the East Coast and the Midwest, and coal energy is mostly popular in the east and south of New York. Environmental analysis on data. Solar energy. Solar energy is a renewable source. It has low pollution and doesn't affect biodiversity. Wind energy is a renewable source. It causes low amounts of pollution and has minimal effect on biodiversity. Nuclear energy is a non-renewable resource. It has high pollution in its waste and has a higher effect on biodiversity. Coal is a non-renewable resource. It has high carbon pollution, contributes to greenhouse gases, and has a high effect on biodiversity in this pollution. Environmental predictions. Solar could be the future of electricity in areas where the sun shines most broadly. Wind energy can also save non-renewable resources. Nuclear energy waste can affect the entire areas of population, both human and animals. Coal energy has high risk of air pollutants due to the fact that they emit sulfur dioxide and carbon and nitrogen oxide into the air. Environmental suggestions. Solar energy does not affect air pollution, though it seems to decrease as years go on. It is very cheap long-term and effective in sunny areas. Wind energy doesn't affect air pollution, though the turbines are expensive to build and the wind itself is cheap. Wind is expected to increase as years go on. Nuclear energy affects the environment. Nuclear waste can emit radiation and cause many negative impacts. Nuclear energy is very steady as for the use because not many states are willing to take the risk of an accident. Coal energy emits dangerous gases into the air. Likewise, mining can destroy many habitats. Coal is slowly decreasing over the years due to the fact that people are becoming aware of the risks associated with it. Economic observations from data. Solar. As far as jobs go, California gets almost 10% of electricity from solar, and Nevada, Vermont, and Arizona follow. Natural gas. As far as jobs go, the fuel is the primary source of electricity and generation in 19 states and provides 50% of the electricity in 9 states. Coal provides jobs chiefly in 19 states and is the second most common source in another 9. Nuclear is again very politically driven, and oil is also politically driven following the oil crisis of 1973 and 1979. Economic analysis of data. EROI. The energy return on investment is a key determinant of the price of energy, as sources of energy that can be tapped relatively cheaply will allow the price to remain low. Nuclear has 75 EROI, hydro has 35 EROI, coal has 30, solar has 9, and wind has 3.9 EROI. EROI can increase with technological improvement. Wind and natural gas are experiencing the most growth in their share of U.S. electricity generation due to novel technology and fracking methods, respectively. Solar and wind have long-term cost-saving aspects due to sustainability and renewability. Economic predictions. Nuclear and hydropower have the highest EROI as the calculations stand. Natural gas will continue to rise in popularity short-term, but time and technology will increase the EROI on more novel sources of power such as wind and solar, currently some of the lower EROI rates. Economic suggestions. The most economically viable option for energy today is nuclear energy with an EROI of 75, followed by hydropower with an EROI of 35. Hydropower is limited in accessibility and already exists in places with major water potential. The biggest suggestion for the economic side of energy would be to invest in technology to improve wind and solar energy upfront in order to raise their EROI and eventually create a more sustainable economic option for energy consumption. Overview. The most viable energy sources under each sustainability category are solar power for social, solar power and wind power for environmental, and nuclear energy for economic, followed by wind and solar energy, as they can be raised with upfront investments of technology and EROI can eventually decrease. Summary of proposal. A shift towards the socially, environmentally, and economically advantageous source of solar power should be made. Currently, the social and environmental impacts of natural gas fracking should be minimized until a majority shift is made towards solar power and its technology is improved. Short-term, natural gas with precautions can be harvested for energy. Long-term, a renewable and environmentally sustainable source needs to take over. Investments in a source like this, such as solar power, should begin to be made now for an overall sustainable future. A future with solar power will socially cause humans little harm and bring education alongside the jobs its technology provides. It will environmentally cause no direct pollution and no harm to biodiversity, and it will economically require upfront costs but eventually improve its EROI and be overall more sustainable.